I want to take you back to 1981 when I began my journey in real estate. The Antelope Valley is like one of the windiest parts of California. It's a dust bowl. And back then, it felt like there was nothing out there but tumbleweeds and opportunity, to be honest. That town is where I cut my teeth. It's where I made my first $1 million in real estate. But when I got there in the early 80s, I kept running into these strange little parcels of land. They were everywhere. 25 by 125, near the center of town. They were owned by people who had never stepped foot in California. The people in New York, there's people in Chicago, all over the country. And so I started digging into it, the title history, and I found kind of a story that every real estate investor ought to hear about just because it's so novel. A story about a deal that sounded too good to be true, a ghost grid that haunted this city for 100 years now. And still does. I'll explain. It started around 1910, Los Angeles Herald. The biggest paper back then. It wanted to boost their circulation. They wanted to beat the competition, so they came up with a promotion. Pitch was simple. Subscribe to our newspaper for 1 year, and we'll give you a plot of land in a booming Lancaster, California. Absolutely free. So imagine that. You pay a few dollars for a newspaper subscription, and you get a grant deed to a piece of California real estate. Here's another house, actually, right there. Bought and sold. Sounds good, but it might be, these parcels may well have been on the moon. And here's why. Hundreds of people jumped on it. They pictured themselves, of course, as land barons. They thought, hey, this is a start, get a free piece of land. They were securing a legacy for their children. The newspaper got their subscribers. The subscribers got their deeds, and everyone was happy. But there's one rule with real estate that hasn't changed, in a century, and the devil is in the details, or in this case, in the dimensions, right? So I'm going to show you a satellite view of that same land today we call the Herald Tract. Still is the Herald Tract. First glance, it looks like kind of a normal neighborhood, but look closer. The lots are too small to build on. The only way anything happens is if you buy several of them and put at least a minimum of 2 together. Even then, you only have 50 feet. There's another house I bought and sold, by the way. The newspaper didn't tell folks what kind of lot they were getting. These strips you see right here, they're exactly 25 feet wide by 125 feet long. Now, think about that as a builder. What can you build on a lot that is 25 feet wide? By the time you account for setbacks, 5 feet on this side and that side, you're left with a house that's 15 feet wide. You can barely fit a driveway. You certainly can't build a standard home. These lines look like piano keys, they're so narrow, and for 70 years, they sat empty. Why? Well, actually over 100 years now they've been empty, most of them, because 25 feet is not functionality. It's useless on its own. On this wider parcel, that's a 50-foot wide lot. That's 2 lots put together. And there's a 125-footer in another spot. And I'll show you another one that's 5 lots in a row. That's 125 feet. Now, this is where the real game was played. Somewhere along the line, maybe in the 40s, maybe when I was there in the 80s, savvy investors realized the only way to unlock the value of this land was to assemble. They had to track down the guys in Ohio that owned this one and another 25-foot sliver next door to that one, the lady in Boston, or who owned, another one. And you just put them one next to the other, these little slivers. Buy them both, or buy 3 or 4, or whatever you can get. But a lot of time you couldn't track them down, so it made it impossible to make it happen. Still does. It's still very difficult. It's just to create one buildable lot. 50 foot isn't even enough. This map isn't just dirt, it's a puzzle. And if you don't have all the pieces, you didn't have anything. When I was working this area back in 1981, this was a nightmare. You'd have a whole block that should have been beautiful homes, or buildings in this case, because it was an industrial area, but it was empty because one guy who owned a 25-foot strip in the middle had died in 1940, left no will. City of Lancaster is still dealing with this today. They are spending millions of dollars trying to track down the owners and buy back these little tiny newspaper lots just to clean up the map and make the land usable again. The Herald didn't sell these people an asset. They actually sold them a liability. They sold them a tax bill on a piece of dirt too small to use. So why am I telling you this? Because I still see new investors making the Herald Tract mistake, we'll call it. They're buying garbage land of different types. The new investor, they believe the words, quote, entry cost, end quote. Big mistake. Don't fall for that. They think entry cost is affordable, not considering the property itself, only the price. Maybe it's not a newspaper subscription anymore. Maybe it's just cheap land somebody's dumping on the internet. Maybe it's a deal in the metaverse. But the lesson I learned starting out in Lancaster, at 19 years old, is land is not just about acreage, it's about utility. Don't tell me how cheap it is. Tell me the zoning, tell me the footage, the frontage, tell me the access. If you don't do your due diligence, you don't own an investment. You're just buying a souvenir and an expensive little liability. And in this business, souvenirs don't make you millions. Always do your due diligence. It takes many decades to see what I've seen. If you want to learn from an experienced pro, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go to the links below, visit FlipAnythingUSA. I got more stories there you can find out about, and many successful students. Now, here I am, landing on the second to the last house I just bought. This one here is a probate. I just bought this about 100 grand under market, a little more under market. I'm pouring a little concrete here to clean it up, fix it up, added that door there. Interior looks great. You'll see another video on this as well. So again, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and be sure to visit FlipAnythingUSA.com and get my book. Get my book. It's the cheapest, 10-20 bucks you'll ever spend for the most knowledge you'll ever get for such a cheap price. So that's Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. You can get that on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. Thanks for watching.